Morning, guys and girls. Let me get started here. Okay. Well, welcome to episode, I think, 138 of the Winning at Work and Home podcast. Wanted to get one out. I kind of had a week. Well, I guess I did get one out last week, but trying to get more of these out, and felt that I needed to share one this morning and get something out to you. So today we are going to be talking about 6 questions to clarity. And I'm going to be trying something out new on this podcast. Kind of, I don't know if you're listening to this, you're kind of the guinea pigs maybe of something that I want to begin to teach a little bit more. Maybe have a free class or a time that we go on social and Zoom and kind of go through this with individuals. I call it the 2-hour turnaround, and I believe that many of us just need to identify what it is that we need to do in the key areas of our life. A lot of times we know what that is, and it's putting pen to paper, putting those things down, and then having a plan to execute those every single day. So it sounds simple, but as we've often talked about, what's easy or simple to do is also easy not to do. So I'm excited to kind of go through this and figure out what would be the best way to present this. And again, these 6 questions to clarity are really me in this particular podcast, this episode, is kind of going through it. I recommend if you are listening to this that you a lot of times people are in the car or at the gym or wherever it may be and don't have the ability to write stuff down. But I would encourage you to either re-listen to this, or if you are able to, grab like a piece of paper, a notebook, whatever it may be, and write these questions down, and then spend some time going back through them and really figuring out and gaining a little bit more clarity in your life. So, why I wanted to discuss this is often, and I'm not sure if you feel this way, sometimes you feel like you just kind of get through the day. Really, there's no excitement maybe to wake up. You just kind of do the same thing. There doesn't really seem to be too much sense of a purpose in your life, right? Maybe you don't know what your purpose is in life. All these different things. What you may want in life. I think it's sometimes things that we all struggle with, of really having a sense of direction. Sometimes we do feel like we're just getting tossed around in whatever kind of happens or whatever seems to fall upon us in the day. And when we go through these 6 questions, hopefully it'll help you to gain some clarity in life and to wake up every single day understanding what it is that you do want to get done, understanding what's important to get done in the day for you as an individual. I think it's so important. Sometimes if we don't know what we want in life, we miss opportunities. See, opportunities, I think, only come to us when we're aware of it actually being an opportunity. But if we have no idea what it is that we are really wanting from life, or what we're trying to achieve, or who we're trying to be, the impact that we're trying to make, then how would we then notice or be aware of the opportunities we have in our life to then reach whatever that goal may be, or that destination, or that vision. And I think it's without having some type of a plan, some type of awareness of what it is that we want to be, like I said, or who we want to affect, how we want to show up, I guess, maybe every single day. If we don't have awareness, sometimes, like I said, we just kind of get through the day. And we don't feel like we're progressing. I think so much of life is Thanks, Adrian, for watching. Sometimes I don't know who's watching, so I appreciate the comments. You know, I when we go through, if we don't know, if we don't feel like we're progressing, right? But in order to progress, you got to kind of have an idea where you're trying to go. If you don't know where you're trying to go, how are you going to feel like you're progressing? And that's really a lot of times what makes us happy in life is just knowing that we're progressing a little bit. Life is going to be hard, guys. Life is going to be challenging. It's not easy. One of the things that, you know, people, when I do these emails back and forth for my real estate business or whatever it may be, you know, you always start them out with hope all is well. How is it going in your life? And, you know, and then people ask me that same question. And I always, well, I haven't always, but I started responding that, you know, life is both good and challenging. And the trick is to find the beauty in both, right? You know, sometimes I may email that back to them. They're like, well, I didn't really expect them to answer that question. But it is true. Life is incredibly hard and challenging, and life is incredibly beautiful. And it's a mixture of that. It's a mixture of both. And I think it's really being able to find, you know, the beauty in the pain, whatever that pain is in your life, finding the beauty in it, finding the lesson, finding the refining of who you are as an individual. And then it's being thankful and appreciative of the pleasure when the pleasure is there. But I think it's really going through and understanding that, right? Because it's both pleasure and pain, you know. And sometimes it's going to be more extreme than others. But it's really learning to find the beauty in both. So let's get to that. Let's get to the 6 questions to clarity. And I think this is going to be important. Stick with me on this. And I've talked about this before, and I'm just going to hammer this out because I think it's so important that we figure this out. So I've talked about this before. The number one question is identify the most important or key areas of your life. Write them down. What are the most important areas of your life? What are they? You have to know what they are. And I'll give you an example. I think if I give you examples, it makes it easier for you. You know, the most important areas of my life are, number 1, my spiritual relationship with God. So whatever that looks like for you, my spiritual connection. Number 2 is my marriage, my relationship. That's an important, so whatever your most important relationship is. And then number 3 is me being a father. Me being a father, that's an important area in my life. Number 4 for me is my health. That's important. My health, my body, what I do, what I put in my body, how I exercise, that's important, my health. The 5th one is my career. You know, as a real estate agent, what am I trying to achieve? That's important, right? Bills got to be paid. My kids are expensive. It's crazy. Most expensive years of their life. Holy smokes. It's crazy right now. It's nuts. So that's important. My career, my profession as a real estate agent, that's important. And then the last one for me is doing this right here. So I put this as my encouraging others. So those are 6 important areas of my life. So you need to identify, and I want you to write down, if you're actually writing this down, we got to write it down at some particular point. You may not be in a position right now to write something down, but I want you to go back and listen to this podcast. The question number 2 is, now on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being fully fulfilled and happy, and 1 being absolutely miserable, where are you? So I want you to write down on a piece of paper, next to those key areas that you wrote down, I want you to honestly rate yourself. Where are you? Where are you? You know, maybe in your spiritual life, you're at a 3, you're at a 2, you don't feel any connection to God or to anything. You're not doing, You just don't feel anything. I don't know. Maybe in your marriage relationship, it's a 4 or 5. It's okay, but not really. Just rate it. Where are you? Be honest with yourself. Rate those areas. Take time to do that. I think it's going to be important. Now, number 3. Now identify what 9 to 10 looks like in those key areas. Okay? What needs to happen? What would you like to achieve? Describe in as much detail as possible. So what needs to happen in that key area? Take some time to write down, okay, what a 9 to 10 looks like. This is starting to gain some clarity. First, you have to know the areas. First, you have to secondly, you have to be honest of where you actually are in those areas. How's it going? And number 3 is then to begin to develop the vision of what that area could look like. What does a 9 to 10 look like? Write it down. Write down as much as possible. What does that look like? In my spiritual relationship, for me, what is it? For me, it's to feel connected to God, to feel connected, just to feel that closest when I'm going through the day and I maybe get upset. What do I do? How do I react? I go to Him. I pray. I take time to breathe, maybe meditate, to not react, to come at that person, with love, right? So what does it look like? What does it look like in your health? To feel good. Maybe, I don't know necessarily it's a certain weight, but just how you feel about yourself, to feel vital, to feel that vitality. Just write that stuff down. What is it? And number 4, let me ask you a question, because I think this is powerful, because when you really start to, I guess, solidify what your life what would be different. So number 4 would be, what would be different for you, your family, and the world around you if you realized those visions, those 10s, those 9 and 10s. What would be different? So then next to those, what would be different? What would your life be like? What would your life be like if in those areas you were progressing, you were achieving, you were doing the things that you needed to do in your health, maybe in your marriage, in your business, you had focus, you got up every single day and you knew the 1 to 2 things. What would be different? How would your life be different? How would those around you be different? How would the world be different? Right? It affects everybody. Everybody. It really does. Or those you interact with. And then also too, you never know who you will affect. Sometimes we go around and we think that we're just maybe not making a difference, we're not affecting anything, especially sometimes with the kids, right? We don't think we're affecting our kids in any way. Often when we do think that we are affecting our kids, sometimes we go to the negative route of thinking that we're affecting them negatively. I don't know. But what if you were to go through these and start to realize those 9 to 10s in your life? Do you think you'd have a positive impact on your kids? Yeah, I would think so. And you may not see that now, but when they're 25, 29, 30 and whatever, and I'm an old man, maybe it'll make a big difference. So that's number 4. What would be different for you, your family, and the world around you if you realized those visions, those 10s? Okay? Number 5 is, what may keep you from reaching or achieving that vision for each area of your life? I think you have to identify what may keep you from reaching that. I don't know. Think about it. What obstacles do you have? Because listen, those things are going to come up. They're going to come up. And they may be a mindset thing, or I don't know, they may be real things in your life, but how are you going to overcome those? I don't know. Think about it. Because those excuses are going to come. Maybe something in your health, and you may be, saying to yourself, what may keep you from reaching or achieving that vision? I don't know. My lack of discipline, right? And what you may find by answering that question, that there really isn't too much that will prevent you from reaching that destination. There may not be. So I think I clarifying that will be good for you. Okay, the last question. The last question, in each of those key areas, in each of those areas that you came up with in the beginning, each of those what 1 to 2 daily actions need to be taken to live and progress towards those visions? What 1 to 2 daily activities need to be taken? I'm not asking for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. I'm just asking for 1 or 2. 1 or 2. 1 or 2. What are they? Maybe for your health, it's working out. I've talked about this before, guys, is working out. Just work out. I don't know. You don't need to overthink it. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Working out, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're not really into working out or going to the gym or lifting weights, and that's fine. Then go take an unbelievably brisk, wonderful walk. What's wrong with that? That's beautiful. To be able to go and just take a walk outside and the fresh air, that could be your exercise for the day. That's awesome. That's awesome. Right? Figure out what it is for you. Maybe in your spiritual life, a big thing that's gotten so powerful for me is journaling. I didn't like journaling at first. I didn't like writing stuff down. I didn't, in regards to journal. Now, I'd love to write stuff down on my day page, but now I love it. I love it. I love that time in the morning getting up and journaling and just writing it down. It helps to have a good pen too. I got a good pen for Christmas. And I know that sounds silly, but it does. It helps to have a good pen. But that's just one thing. If I do that every single day, I feel better in that area. I'm not sure what it is in your marriage. I'm not sure what it is in your marriage relationship. Often what we do is we can't control the other individual. We cannot control the other individual, but we can control and we can do what we know is right. And you're going to feel better in the day if you do what's right. If you do what's right. So just do that. You're going to feel a little better. What's the other option? To not do it and to be bitter and to be upset and to be angry and to be, my partner doesn't do this or that. I don't know. I don't think you're going to feel good doing that, but you will feel good if if you did what it is that that they would like, right? Not necessarily what you would like, but they would like, because that's what I think we need to do in relationships, is understand what the other person appreciates or loves in us, even if they may not realize it, right? I think sometimes it's helping them to gain clarity in relationships of what we desire. And I've talked about this before. That's why I like the 5 love languages. I think it's tremendous, and I think it's right, and I think it helps you to gain clarity. In your work, whatever your career may be. I'm a real estate agent, so there's not 1,000 things that I need to do that's going to get me towards my goal or my vision, right? There's just 1 to 2 important activities. If I do every single day, if I do those 1 to 2 activities or 6 days a week, taking Sunday off or day off, I'm progressing towards that. But if I don't identify what it is, okay, and in your career, there's in your career, whatever it may be, there's about 1 to 2 things that are incredibly important, that are going to make you either extremely effective in your job or proficient in your job or have more of an impact in your position. Okay, there's not 1,000 things. There's maybe 1,000 things that you need to do. Okay, but there's 1 to 2 most important things. And that's what we're looking for, guys. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to identify the most important areas of our life, what matters to us. And then we are looking to identify the 1 to 2 most important activities in those key areas. That's what we're trying to identify. And when we can seriously identify those 1 to 2 most important activities in the most important areas of our life, okay, and then we wake up every single morning and we have those down somewhere. We've written those down somewhere. If you're watching on Facebook, it's right here. I have them written down. They're right up there. Okay, and then we're aware. And then we can go and we can start to have a little bit more purpose in the day. We can have a little bit more clarity in the day. We can then be able to, see those opportunities that may present themselves in those key areas of our life to accomplish those 1 to 2 things. It helps. It helps. Because sometimes with everything that's going on in the world right now, listen, a lot of us are working from home. We're used to, getting up, doing a commute, going in the office, being around people, just kind of going through our routine. Sometimes what's happening for a lot of us, we're at home right now. We don't really have the routine. And sometimes at home, it's hard to get motivated. It's hard to feel, maybe any sense of kind of excitement sometimes. You can get a little lazy and get a little down. You can get where you want to sleep in. Maybe you're not getting up and you're, working or doing these Zoom calls, or if you don't have to do Zoom calls, you're still in your pajamas. I don't know, So sometimes this can, I don't know, just kind of affect us a certain way, and sometimes it's not such a good way. And that's where we really need to be focused. I think if any time, there's never, I don't think a good time not to be focused. Sometimes, maybe on vacation or whatever it may be. But I think this is a very, very interesting time right now. And I feel that the more that we can go through our days with the clarity and really feeling like we're progressing. I mean, depression is a big deal right now, guys. Depression's a big deal. And I think often why depression comes, and I'm not an expert on this by any way, shape, or form, but I think depression comes a lot of times when we don't have any hope, when we lose hope. And I think hope is that vision or that desire for the future that makes us hopeful. And we don't have that. We don't have, sometimes for many of us in our life, we don't feel much hope. And when we can do these questions and we can say, okay, well, let me really look at my life. Let me look at the areas that are important to me. Let me get some hope in those areas. Let me start to develop some hope of what it is that I really want those areas to look like. And you start to develop that hope because you get an idea of what it is that you really want. What's going to make it a 9 or 10? What's going to progress you up that scale from right now? That area of your life is completely miserable. Okay, so what do you want it to look like? What do you want it to look like? What's it going to take to move it, progress it in a good way, a good path? Okay, and when you start to do that, okay, then you start to get hopeful. And then when you start to take actions on a daily basis towards that vision, towards that destination, which may never be reached, right? That's one of the things that I'm thinking that is helping me a little bit through life is it's not a destination, it's a journey. And if every single day I can appreciate the journey, my marriage is never going to be perfect, far from it. My relationship with the kids it's not going to be perfect, right? It's going to be a struggle. My body's getting older. I'm getting, all these different things. It's heading a different way, right? I don't know. All these different things. I'm never going to feel 100% connected to God, my Savior. There's going to be those days. There's going to be those days where it's hard at work, where it's challenging, where it's tough, where I have a tough client, or I lose the deal, or whatever it may be. But it's being able to appreciate the journey of just life, as I talked about, finding the beauty in both the pain and the pleasure, the challenge and the good. And if we can do that, if we have a plan, or we have a chart, or we have a course, and we know how we're going to handle these things, right? Because we're a little bit focused, we've gained some clarity in our life. We know what it is that we're trying to achieve. We know who it is that we're trying to be. Okay, it helps. It helps. I mean, my gosh, you don't want to go out on this. This world is so challenging. It just really is, if we're honest. And why would you want to go and chart through this world and this life and this course without some kind of a plan? It just doesn't work. You know, like we talked about, you're like that styrofoam cup in the Walmart parking lot. You're just getting blown around, tossed around. And if we're able to identify those most important areas and the 1 to 2 actions, we can get those 1 to 2 actions done. That's one thing we can control, right? Are those 1 to 2 actions in the most important areas of our life. You know what? And if we don't get it all done, you know, if we miss a day, it's probably better than what you're doing before. I'm not doing anything in those areas or not being aware. You know, there's days that I look here and one of my things is I write down I am super fit, and I put 2 things down: workout, and I also write no bad in. And what I mean by no bad in is I just don't put any negative food or bad food in your mouth. Now, every single day, do I do that? No. But when I look at my sheet at the end of the day and I can't check that off, I'm aware of it. I don't beat myself up and I say, oh, Damon, you're such a loser and you can never do it. I just say, okay, well, tomorrow, let me write that down and let me see if I can check it off the list. I don't know. At least I'm aware of it. At least I'm not putting bad stuff and eating like crap for months or 2 or 3 months and then, you know, being really depressed and bummed out and be like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe the time that has passed. And, you know, with this particular, being able to write it down, this day page, and if you want a copy of that, reach out to me and let me know. I'm aware of it every single day. I'm aware. See, this makes you aware. And it makes you aware. And sometimes the thing is we get so caught up in other things that we are not aware of kind of what's going on in our life and what's important. So I kind of went over here. It's 27 minutes. So, but that's okay. That's all right. I listen to, It's Amazing with Joe Rogan. I listen to that podcast sometimes. And that guy is such an unbelievable gift to be able to communicate with another person for 2.5 hours or 2 hours. It's so incredible. I can't even believe it. So curious, right? He's just a curious individual and just has that unbelievable talent. So, you know, I would encourage you guys, if you, are coming this late, to maybe re-listen to this podcast, or if you're able to jot down those questions, jot them down and go through this. Really take some time. If you need any help with this whatsoever, please reach out to me. My number is out there. My cell number is out there. You can text me, call me, you can email me, and we can go through this. This is one of the things that I'm going to start pushing a little bit more, is to help individuals like this or through this. I already kind of have a name for it. I think the 2-hour turnaround, and I think in a 2-hour time period of working with somebody or a few people, that you can really set up your course and you can really set up what it is that's important to you and the 1 to 2 actions, and then get going and get living those on a daily basis. There may be some adjustments and stuff, but I really think that it doesn't, in some cases, take a weekend seminar. It doesn't take a week, seminar. Sometimes I believe it can just really be focused in 2 hours or less of really identifying those most important areas, and really then becoming clear on the 1 to 2 daily activities in those key areas. And I think once you start executing those, that you'll start to, I know you'll start living your days with more purpose and a little bit more passion and more focus, and you'll begin to feel just a little bit better, right? And that's all we're trying to do, is just feel a little bit better. You're not going to go through the day and be, some people are, maybe that's great, joyous and all happy and this and that. But for the, the reality of my life is I'm starting to, get a little older, is just, it's a journey, it's a struggle, but to be able to affect others in a positive way, in a loving way, is important. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. Reach out to me if you need anything. And again, thanks for watching. Adrian, thanks for watching. Appreciate you. Bye.